Hello guys, and welcome back to Strategic Command World War II, World at War with our Allied playthrough. In the last episode, we took on America and the UK for the battles of the Pacific, Atlantic, and a little bit also for Greece. Not really so much France, that's more just us holding there. It was a good boost to the Soviet morale early on in them joining the war, still maintaining 103% national morale in the face of Germany's declining, rapidly. Hold up, let me look at this. 97% morale, probably due to all the ships they're losing, and they are technically losing some ground and some units that are affecting this as well. Finally dipping down further and further into the negatives. That's fantastic, with Mussolini at a all-time low of 51% and Japan at a near all-time low, or roughly, of 45. Hopefully we can keep that pressure up. For now, we have China and India to take on. Looking at research to do for India, I just read and found that HQs you can actually build one more of per logistics level, which in that case means some nations don't even have enough generals for all the HQs they could make, which makes my accidental deletion of one of China's HQs so much more annoying. Anyway, I'll go ahead and just research the next logistics level for India to help make things a little bit cheaper for them. A lot of what we have in mainland India is fully upgraded pretty much as far as you can get. 27 MPPs isn't going to carry a lot of the stuff down here at Ethiopia very far, unfortunately. We will want to get the BAI army heading out, but as of right now, it's a little far away from the front. There's enough supply to at least keep moving up here. So we'll go ahead and we'll force march the Indian army up the road in that general direction. French Somaliland, oh how I would love to use this port. I could declare war on it right now and take it. But I won't do that because I'm a nice person. Looking at what China has to deal with up north, this enemy corps is completely out of supply, basically entirely also readiness and morale. There's little reason to actually bombard it, but then again there's little reason not to. So let's go ahead and just artillery it, dealing 1 damage, shoot again, dealing 2 damage. It's now just 1 hit from dead. We can go ahead and use the finishing blow with just about anything here. I think I'll go ahead and use one of the cores. And voila, just like that, another Manchukuo town liberated. We will then have to move down the road towards Manchukuo, which as we can see they kept nobody at, meaning it's just a matter of stepping on this location to actually claim it. We will reinforce the 5th Army. We will reinforce the 2nd Corps. Nothing else here can really do with being reinforced or upgraded. We do have this Corps here, which is ready to go whenever. We do have the 3rd Army in Japan, still holding out. It has very little supply, but it does have some, as well as some readiness and morale. We'll start by attacking with the 12th Army, dealing 4 damage, taking none. And then we'll attack with the Dare to Die Special Forces, finishing off the enemy unit just like that. And we will go ahead, let's see. We'll get elite reinforcements for the L Corps while they sit here. The Dare to Die Special Forces will secure the town for us. In an effort to get in some better supply, we're going to take the 41st Army and move it just southwest of Seishin, which the army there is waiting on some supply to upgrade itself to having some anti-air defenses as well. Let's look at Haikou and deal with this. So we'll go ahead and use the 2nd Heavy Artillery to hit it, dealing no damage but reducing their entrenchments. We'll go ahead and attack with the 1st Army, dealing 3 damage and taking none. We will reinforce the 68th Army, which has also been helping batter away at all of this. I am going to move this corps out of Pusan. Don't know where I'm going to send it yet, that's why I'm just kind of running it. Probably somewhere down here, maybe. It can stay up here. I have a plan for China. Now, this would ideally be better off waiting until we have more amphibious warfare, which I will go ahead and research the next level of for sure. But as of right now, we do have the ability to launch 1 long-range amphibious transport and 2 regular ones, just with level 1. Now, there's not a lot of targets for China to go after, but I'm thinking of just sending them right for Japan right now. Sending an HQ over and 2 armies to try to secure Hiroshima and the hexes on either side of it. If that can be done, eventually we'd be able to send transports directly in, but we would be able to hold, hopefully, for about 2 turns to launch another amphibious wave to reinforce Hiroshima and maybe even secure Nagasaki. If we can do that, then the Chinese can begin engaging in a war of attrition against the Japanese on the home islands. I expect the home islands will again cause shit to go absolutely crazy, so this invasion could just completely fail. It may just be better to wait till later in the war to actually do this. However, with the Japanese so spread thin, with their special forces trying to attack and defend islands, with the carriers, like one of their only carriers over in the Gulf of Siam, the other one last seen near the Philippines, and probably trying to maintain naval presence around the DEI and etc., with Malay still having not fallen, and everything else that's happening, the presence of Australia, I think that I can at least make the hop. If we leave from Busan with the regular amphibs, we can make the journey over after the first turn and land, assuming there's nothing there, get some attacks in otherwise. The long range can launch from pretty much over here and make it over there, just has to leave from Shanghai, so none of that would be so bad. I'd probably send the HQ in a actual long range amphib, because once we land, we would need an HQ on Hiroshima protected by armies just to supply anything over there. The ports will not do it by themselves, and the Japanese crackdown on our presence will be huge. So what we need to do first is get an HQ and 2 armies in position. Now, this is where I really wish I had not accidentally deleted Stillwell. I didn't know we were just completely unable to get him back, because one of our HQs simply might die as we send them here. We have more than enough HQs for the time being. We don't need this one in the south, so what I'll do is I'll probably send that one up somewhere that it would be able to partake in these activities. We'll go ahead and let's operate the 23rd Army down to Busan, and we'll also want to operate another good army. We'll use the 4th. Oh wait, no, this one's not on a rail line, and neither is this one. Well, we'll probably want to get these armies on rail lines with this new plan then. That's for sure. Do we have any armies that are on rail lines anywhere else that are not currently engaged in combat? There's these, but I was planning on using them as more like reinforcements. Okay, so then we're going to have to go ahead and utilize the 6th Army as well. We'll send the 6th Army over to Busan, and that should help. We will need to clear up some space by Shanghai to actually get some stuff moving over there. We'll move back the core actually sitting on Shanghai proper, and we will operate the Lee HQ over into Shanghai proper, where it will be able to depart on a long-range amphib for this invasion. Whether it succeeds or fails, to be honest, I don't really care, because the Chinese have so many MPPs, they could just keep buying units, but they don't have the ability to raise a navy, only land forces. So even if I'm throwing away these units, at the very least, if we are hurting Japanese national morale and MPPs at a sustainable rate, even remotely, or distracting maybe their navy, forcing their navy to come up here, well, that would function good enough for me, to be honest. That would function more than good enough to me. I would be very happy with that. We do have 213 MPPs remaining. We've got another couple of units to get in position. We don't need this arty over here anymore. We're not going to need these tanks or anything where they are. We don't need to really move a lot of these HQs, but we can. I'll move this unit off of this town. We'll move the HQ at Harbin off for the time being. Ideally, we want to get the 54th Army on a railroad so it can deploy rapidly to assist in this plan that we have. So we'll move that over to Harbin. The heavy artillery is of less importance for now. We'll leave it where it is because it can't really get very far after having fired. We'll take the mechanized tanks and move them down to Mukden for the time being while we try to figure out an appropriate place for them. As mentioned, we'll start moving these armies somewhere that has a railroad. This one can head north, the other one can head west. We'll move the garrison at Canton for now to Henyang, just to clear up some room for the army to get into the railroad at Canton. We'll have the 4th Army, which could go up behind it. Either way won't affect too much. And we'll go, yeah, you know what? Fuck it. We'll go ahead and move that down to Hanoi for the time being, and then have it just follow up by Canton as well. These are some pretty good armies. They should be really, really good in a second wave, that's for sure. We have 213 MPPs remaining as China. There's a couple things we could purchase with this that could be of use, but really nothing of large importance. So we're probably going to put this into research to catch back up on our total research funding. Put it into production technology, which, as we continue to advance here, will make producing all the units that may or may not die with them more sustainable. Basically, reinvesting into the 2 techs that we finished this turn, and trying to get further along, and then maxing out the total research funding and leaving us with 88 MPPs. I guess I might as well go ahead and upgrade the Chu HQ, formerly Stillwell's, who has poofed into the nether with anti-air defenses. I don't think anyone else HQ-wise needs anything like that. No, they do not. We do have the engineers here, which can keep moving south. I guess I will go ahead and send them south. Again, really no idea where the hell we're going to put them or what we're going to do with them. I'll send this core up to Showa Steel to try to make room as well. We don't need cores clogging up this peninsula right now, so we'll keep sending the cores down here northwest without operating them or anything like that. The 12th Army here, which took place in the attack, definitely needs to get into a position of good supply. Okay, the supply here is not so bad, but it'll be better if we go this way, closer to the HQ, now that the HQ at Harbin is moved. Get this upgraded with anti-air, stuff like that, and prepare to have that heading over. I may do this next turn. I may wait to do it. I know this army coming from Indochina isn't in the healthiest state, but if we ended up dropping this right here to the southwest of Hiroshima instead of northwest, it wouldn't really affect very much. And with that, we have an entire end turn and probably a very eventful upcoming end turn. So we're going to go ahead and hit that button and see how the Axis hits us back. Japanese morale suffers from the loss of quadrilline. Very good. I saw that bar move. Bill Donovan's Office of Strategic Services proposes to extend its network of agents in Vichy, Algeria to suborn local offices, both military and civilian, in order to pave the way for a U.S. landing of the country. For 25 MPPs, OSS believes that these agents could carry out minor uprisings in our favor should American forces land at either Casablanca, Oran, or Algiers. Would you like to authorize the OSS to intrigue in this manner in Vichy, Algeria? While any risings by pro-Allied forces in Vichy, Algeria could only weaken rather than eliminate enemy resistance, it would be very useful if we were to land American soldiers in Algeria. If you say yes, risings will occur when American troops land in Algeria. These risings would occur whether Algeria joins the Axis or we declare war on her. Before Operation Torch, the US built up a large network of Allied sympathizers within Vichy territories as they hope to use them to minimize losses in any operations in Vichy territory. Now the thing is, I don't plan on doing this, This is not something I intend on doing. But it is only 25 MPPs. Now, I guess if I was going to move American troops into Europe, rather than clog them up on the very currently limited fronts, they would be probably pretty good at soloing, taking on Vichy, and then stomping their way into Italy. So for 25 MPPs only, I've wasted way more, with the death of Stilwell, with the death of the general in the Philippines, Wainwright, and a bunch of other things, 250 into Venezuela. This is a very small amount. It wouldn't hurt me in any way to actually do this, so I'll go ahead and do it. Land units continue west to Mexico. Good, good. Finland moves 6% towards the Allies. Finally, we have no movement in that nature this whole time. Australia and NZ convoys being raided as expected. Heavy fighting on the Marshall Islands. The US forces close in on Japan. Interesting. Wow, okay. Not really heavy fighting. There's nothing here. And we can actually see now that there's nothing up there. Very good. Bulgarian Communist Party forms the Fatherland Front opposition movement. Interesting. Commonwealth Party is formed in the UK to challenge the Electoral Pact. Advanced fighters for the UK. Progress. Amphibious warfare at level 3 for the US. Very good. China develops spying and intelligence level 1. Some more tech. Alright, cool. UK ending the term with 786, getting 273 from America. That's what I'm talking about. Even with the raids on New Zealand and Australia, America is helping pick up the slack by far. America ending even after everything with 533, still very good. 653 right now. USSR still paying for the anti-tank units. China, India ending well. It looks good to me. Looks good to me. I'm happy with these results. Now let's see what kind of pain the Axis brings to us. I imagine most of the pain will be in the Soviet Union, more than anything. They're reinforcing on the Greek front. That goddamn fucking light cruiser keeps showing up. I don't know where it's hiding. Uh-oh, looks like the Japanese did spot our submarine at the DEI. They must have spotted it with spying and intelligence. I don't know how else. No, they see both of them. How the hell do they see both of them? Is it because it's off the coast of the DEI? If it's directly off the coast, can you spot it? I guess so. Shit. But every one of their carriers, as well as their escort carriers, are just pummeling these submarines. So this looks like another hard lesson learned for us. Don't go within 1 hex of land, or submarines will automatically be spotted? Question mark. The German army at Nantes is moving up, not doing anything. Some reinforcing on the front. Let's see. Italian army operating its way to the Soviet front in the Baltics. Minsk looks like it's pretty much out of supply. I see an HQ appearing down here. Some bombing on the WDF army, I believe. We do have the Greek interceptors flying right now. Their first sortie. Dealing 2 damage to enemy fighters. Receiving 2 damage from the bombers. Anti-air dealing 1 damage to the bombers. Interceptors defending our mechanized on the front, which are in a pretty weak position. I wouldn't be surprised if the Germans try to gang up on that. 1 damage to our fighters. The escorts, which are way down here, took some damage as well. And the mechanized taking 1 damage, unfortunately. Yeah, their fighter coverage is very hard to deal with. Interesting! The Germans actually moved this army up and are trying to go on the offensive down here, putting Hungarians to replace the Italians. Some of the ways they handle this are so weird to me. Holy shit, dealing 5 damage to one of our armies on the front here. That's just unnecessarily excessive. Trading 1 for 1 with the WDF army. Mechanized taking 1 damage, dealing none in return. Now tanks attacking, dealing 1 damage, dealing 2 in return against the Italian tanks. Okay, that's something. As I expected, they are pushing heavily against this mechanized unit. They'll probably kill it. They'll probably divert whatever they need to kill it. 2 damage to our corps on the front. Minsk going ahead and striking out with the Frontier Corps again. Dealing 1, taking 1, but it's not going to be able to do very much after this turn. 1 damage on another one of our corps on the front, fighting the Wodrig Corps. Panzer's actually moving up and attacking our anti-tanks, dealing 4 damage and taking 4 damage. Interesting. That's definitely better for us. Panzer's moving up and attacking one of our corps near Minsk, dealing a fuck ton of damage and causing a very stupid retreat, but opening up Brest-Litovsk, which I'm probably going to step on if they don't secure it. These tanks now moving away back into Bulgaria. It's good for us. These Panzers you're just asking me to surround you. You realize this, right? Axis units reforming on the southern front in Ukraine. That's either an anti-tank or an anti-air, I'm not sure. That submarine's still there, currently going away. Huh. And now the Spanish cruiser's just sailing up to one of our light cruisers, taking 3 damage, dealing 1. It's out of movement, so it's stuck there. So we can finally kill this stupid-ass Spanish cruiser and get it out of our hair. It's been so annoying. It's not really hurting us, it's just been annoying. We're disrupting the Sweden-German convoys. Fighting breaks out at mass demonstrations in Lyon and Marseille on Bastille Day. Okay. And that's the end of what the Axis can do. Soviets taking some heavy casualties, but not really big losses. So this actually went better than I expected. Mexicans arriving. Let's see. Corps in Berlin. Garrison on Palma. HQ von Rundstedt. Another sub spotted in the Arctic. Interesting. A fighter spotted in Frankfurt. Heavy cruiser in Barcelona. It's a Spanish one. Army in Turin. Interesting. Battleship near Oosthaven. Battle cruiser spotted in the North Atlantic. They have a lot of ships out here. Espionage is not a nice thing, nor are the methods employed exemplary. Neither are demolition bombs nor poison gas, but our country is a nice thing, and our independence is indispensable. We face an enemy who believes one of his chief weapons is that none, but he will employ terror. I don't know what this sentence means. We will turn terror against him, or we will cease to exist. William Donovan. Office of Strategic Services established. Interesting. The Baku destroyer is ready to be deployed at Archangelsk. Sure. Why not? And the Chindits paratroopers are arriving in India. We could put them somewhere that has a port. Let's say, well, yeah, even the paratroopers are probably going to need to transport somewhere. We'll probably put it up here near Calcutta, is what we'll do. And then that's that whole end turn sequence. America's national morale holding steady at 91. The UK's holding steady at 99. USSR at 103. China's at 127 at this rate. India at 99. German still 97. 50 for the Italians. Looks like they dropped a little bit further. And Japan dropped down to 43. Nice. I think they're low enough that they have the biggest debuff they can possibly have to their morale of their units. See, now one thing I hate about fighting AI is that unlike me, the AI actually know all the mechanics of the game. So they know not to sail close to a coast. They know how to use their subs, and they know what to do just in every instant, which is brutal as a learning experience, but hopefully this will help me in future PvPs to come. We're going to want to get these subs out of here. Let's put them in hunt so that they can move faster. And we'll sail them northwest back up to the friendly ports. The truant sub can't actually get as far as it had, like, literally just come to get here. The DEI sub looks like it can, even in silent mode. I guess next time if I put it in silent mode, that might help it along the coasts. I'm not sure. We do have other upgrades to do, however, before we actually move on to repairing these subs, so I'll probably come back to that in a little bit. Looks like as amphibious techs are researched, the units at sea will actually get the research like immediately, which in this case also increases their attack values. We'll definitely get back on amphibious warfare for America, keep researching that, and hopefully they can pass the tech down to China faster and faster. I'll go ahead and move the 1st Marine Division Special Forces over to Roy Namur to go ahead and take that for us. Don't know how they still have 8 supply, really. We have the 2nd Marine Division Special Forces, who we can send on another target. Let's send it over here to any Witak. We were just over there recently. Oh, but however, there is in fact enemy units here, as we can see. There are special forces. I didn't expect them to be here, but I guess it makes sense that they could be. We can go check Wake. I don't believe there was anything at Wake. Okay, good. So we have reclaimed Wake. We've landed at Wake. We know for sure that there's an enemy here. So if we put both of them in long-range transports, after maybe getting them some upgrades, we can go ahead and batter this special forces unit just out of existence, theoretically. And these islands might still have some on them as well. I think Tarawa and Eniwetok over here are probably the most important due to them being national morale objectives for the Japanese. Now that we've gotten some of these ships into Pearl, we're going to go ahead and reinforce them. I believe one or most of them, half of them, 2/3, need upgrades. This carrier is no longer in need of any service, so we'll move that out of here for the time being. This is not its final position, it's just where I'm moving it for right now. We'll move the Allen Destroyer into Pearl. It just needs some reinforcements, nothing too special. The Massachusetts battleship here is also in good condition, so we can end up moving that forward. We'll probably move this whole line now further west into the Marshall Islands area, probably blocking the path in between Wake and Eniwetok over here. Probably what we'll end up trying to do, yeah. So how wide is this? This is actually pretty wide. We'll send first the New Orleans heavy cruiser is going to go towards the side of Wake, and then we'll follow up with a heavy cruiser on the other side near the enemies over here. Don't really know if there's any purpose to bombarding the enemies, because in this game, usually the attack values against land, yeah, they're pretty fucking bad, even with a battleship. Now, they can get through a port nice and fine, but bombarding land, I don't know if there's a point to. There might be a point. I think this game relegates the potential of battleships in this way to moreover be handling strategic bombing more than actually hurting troops. And maybe, does it have demoralization? Yeah, demoralizing the troops within its bombing. Now, this is a pretty wide range to position my troops at, and it's certainly not going to be the best for the battleships, because technically the battleships have to be up on the front. The carrier kind of as well. We don't have other screens though. At the very least, I have not seen any enemy submarines in the region, nor do we have yet any further increased ASW capabilities. The Japanese submarine capabilities seem to be focused on raiding, which I'm perfectly fine with. If that's what they want to do, let them do it. We make more than enough MPPs that the Allies losing 10, 15, or whatever they're taking is fine. we're taking that much away from them with Sweden anyway. I'll go ahead here and send the destroyer out. Not, again, sure how this placement is going to be working exactly. I'll send it right out here for the time being. We'll send the light cruiser kind of parallel to it. And then a battleship will fill in here. The Maryland battleship. The Arkansas will fill in here. The Idaho battleship will fill in here. And that looks like a pretty decent setup. We'll send the Colorado battleship just in the rear. And then the Lexington carrier can't actually get that far, but we will send it as far as it can get to provide fighter coverage over everything in the region. If we had it on bombers, which we actually can't do because we're out of action points, apparently that takes action points, or there's something relevant for action points there. We'll get it pressed up against the fleet shortly. Oh, there's also the Massachusetts battleship, which we'll send just to the southeast side here of the Lexington carrier, while we wait for other ships to become ready. Is there anything off the west coast of America that's ready? There is the North Carolina battleship. Let's put that on naval cruise mode and just send that over by Pearl for the time being, as we usually do. Man, if I was a Japanese player, I would totally get subs out here. You never know what you might catch going back and forth. We do have the S-42 sub here, capable of receiving its advanced sub upgrade, so we're going to go ahead and upgrade that. We do still have this Nautilus submarine out here that does need to keep progressing if we want to start raiding enemy supply lines. However, maybe we want to be a little more careful about this. Maybe move it around in silent. Maybe hunt is still good enough. We're still pretty far away from the enemies, quite frankly. For now, I'll just head directly northwest, so we're kind of off the coast of the Mariana Isles, but not too close so that theoretically they wouldn't be able to detect us. I mean, what is even the range that you can naturally see off your own coast? It's not exceptionally far. In terms of this, like, the bombers can just see it because they're bombers. Over here on the Mexican coast, the supply here is not the greatest, even with American supply pouring in, so we're just gonna send this up northwest along the road, just running it so we can get some place where it can reinforce and get some supplies and be shipped out into the Pacific. Mexicans in the Pacific, the next best thing after the Filipinos, am I right? We'll take the Bradley HQ and we'll move that to the location to move to Beaver, as well as the 3rd Army. Again, prioritizing the Pacific in pretty much every way. If we do show up, maybe we'll do a delayed or belated Operation Torch. It looks like we can do it whenever we want with the relevant events setting it up, and we don't need to rush it. Historically, it's supposed to take place in November, as is Case Anton. I'm curious to see if the enemy AI actually does Case Anton. I would love to just, like, get Vichy to join us. Wouldn't that be so great? If I was fighting a player, I would be rather concerned about the state of Hawaii and would not do what I am about to do. But I'm not fighting a player. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to operate the 5th Tactical Bombers for 55 MPPs. We're going to operate that down here near Apia next to Pago Pago. With that there, we're also probably going to send it some fighter support just in case. You never know when a Jap carrier will show up and try to interrupt you. So we'll need to send one of these fighters. I'll probably send here the 12th Air Force fighters. That looks good to me. 45 MPPs. A total of 100 MPPs to move these plane squadrons around. And send that to Apia itself. I believe it could just fly around with that and American Samoa, should we end up sending anything else down here. And due to the massive amount of space we have over here, I really wouldn't mind getting a corps or something over there. To that purpose, I will go ahead and put the 2nd Corps on a regular transport and have that start naval cruising its way down into the Pacific. I don't think we need to worry too much about Jap subs. Japs seem pretty distracted with other things, but we could definitely take the safer approach, at least to be safe, and trail further along towards the Atlantic. So we'll head directly south with it and make our way over to American Samoa, and we can take up some defensive positions there. If I feel like sending another, I can send the Mexican Corps over there, and that shouldn't be a problem. Using corps, again, as garrisons in the Pacific, just due to the fact that they might come under counterattack, and I don't want to pay for any of the Australian ones, so it's going to come from America. The production delays on anything we can build with our remaining MPPs can get quite brutal at times. So we really need to be thinking ahead of what we buy and when. We should really already be buying carriers, because as you see, they take like 18, 19 months just to make them each. Ordering them now would ensure we get them by 44, so that's a pretty big delay. But realistically, there's a chance that we don't even need more carriers. What I would like to get is one more bomber group, because we have a surplus of 1 fighter to bomber if you include the strat bombers, 2 if you don't. So I will order a maritime bomber, as that could be pretty handy with dealing any Japanese ships, and that we would get that up much faster. We don't actually have any maritime ones right now. We'll go ahead and purchase this, get that coming along, and that should arrive to us by January of 43, which is still a long way out. That leaves us with 144. 144 is not very easy to do very much with. We'll go take a peek at Mexico. We'll put that garrison on Mexico City, make sure it's arrived safely. We can go ahead and do some more scouting with the medium bombers here. Let's just scout directly out in that direction with you guys, and then you guys can cover going down here, just to kind of reach out and make sure we're not missing anything. Since we do have a corps en route to American Samoa, we'll put this Marine Division tank in a transport and get that naval cruising its happy ass up towards Pearl, which actually I probably want to leave a drop-off point for. So up to Pearl, where we will then immediately, just want to make sure it's in a safe path, immediately be able to drop it off for it to get some upgrades and stuff, leave the destroyer back there now. And with that, I believe that's everything we're going to do with America. And that's everything we're going to do with our episode today. So, for now, thank you guys very much for watching. And I'll see you when we pick this up on the next one.